Hello everyone and welcome back to World of Warships. And I hope you enjoyed that last clip. I had to include it because um, I went in expecting the Emerald to kind of suck, and most times I'm not a huge fan of the Emerald, but in that situation, when you're completely outnumbered, you have next to no chance of winning. You just have to go for it. And watching those torpedoes hit those two ships almost the exact same time was it was pretty good feeling. I went on the rest of that match. I almost took out one of their destroyers, but I was on such low health, and they still had over half their team. So actually, at the end of that battle, I took out the top two players on their team. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, today I'm going to be playing the Iron Duke, the Tier 5 British battleship, tech tree warship. And I had to mix it up a little bit because I've been doing a lot of destroyers, but I wanted to try to gain experience in the destroyers, and before I started posting videos to YouTube, I had already gone through almost all the tier 5 battleships for the most part. With me, like, it takes a very special kind of battle in order to feel like I did a lot in a battleship. Because you have such big guns and just getting like one or two citadels basically obliterates cruisers and stuff. It's I mean, yeah, you took out like the entire cruiser in one shot, but it doesn't feel like you've contributed as much. Even though technically speaking, I feel like I might be a little bit more influential in battleships just because I'm doing so much more damage. But in reality, when I'm playing my destroyers, I'm just getting a lot of damage to destroyers at this tier. I am getting some battleship damage, but I get a lot of experience in destroyers just by killing other destroyers, which makes sense, right? But anyway, I actually really like this Iron Duke. It's not the slowest tier 5 battleship, although to be fair, almost all the battleships at this tier are pretty much the same speed. They're all garbage. They all look pretty similar. They look like just generic battleships, right? They don't look like the more modernish World War II-ish battleships. They still look like the early battleships. I guess more like what the ironclads is out there called. Anyway, this ship, what makes it so special, to me anyway, is the guns. The guns do whatever you want them to do, and it doesn't matter if you are bottom tier, top tier, middle tier, doesn't matter. You can still have a great impact in the battle. Like if I'm not doing 50,000 damage a battle in the Iron Duke, I'm doing something wrong, because this thing has the toolkit it needs to really be effective. You have very, very consistent, hard-hitting AP shells. Like, they just feel good. You also have a spotter to increase your range, but your base range is already pretty decent, so it's not a huge deal breaker if you don't get your spotter plane up. Because look at this, in a tier 5 battle, you can cover a pretty good portion of the map. Your shell velocity also is pretty good, so you don't have to predict so far in advance where the enemy ship is going to be. That guy is almost 14.5 kilometers away, and it only takes 8.5 seconds to get there. In other battleships, it would take like 12 seconds or something to get over there. So that shell velocity is also super nice. Uh, and another, perhaps the biggest thing about this ship that makes it so fun is the high explosive. The high explosive, if you don't get a fire with a salvo of high explosive, one of two things happened. One, you didn't aim your shots very well, or two, you just got very, very unlucky. Um, it's rare for me to not set a minimum of one fire with high explosive. And when your guns reload like this against other battleships, this high explosive is so nice, especially when you're up tiered and you really can't hit them with AP because they're not showing you broadside or you just can't penetrate them. High explosive is so good on this ship, so good. So In this battle, I really won't be showcasing the high explosive simply because it's tier 5 and I'm getting a lot of opportunistic shots with my AP. Um, my AP is just doing just fine, so why would I switch to high explosive? But when you're fighting like upper tier ships, I don't feel like I'm at a disadvantage when I'm in tier 7 battles. Unlike almost every other ship I've played at this tier, you just feel like, oh, I'm really going to be careful of what I do, and I really can't go after certain ships. Not this one. You can go right after a tier 7 ship if it's just you and the tier 7, and if you're angled and he can't really penetrate you, but you have high explosive loaded, you're going to be doing damage to him, and he's still going to be doing damage to you because you're a tier 5, but it's actually surprisingly easy to go one-on-one with a tier 7 battleship, which is just bonkers to me. Um, but yeah, this ship is very, very fun. For a battleship, this is almost everything I want in a battleship. And interestingly enough, on the start screen, see, this is a mistake. I was like, oh, he's angled to me. I'm going to load high explosive. Well, 30 seconds later, he shows me perfect broadside. So I could have killed him with that AP if I had it loaded. But anyway, back to what I was saying. On the load screen, when you compare your ships, it actually shows that this ship is better in almost every single way to the New York, which is pretty crazy because I actually really like the New York. I don't know if that's a very popular opinion, but I actually really liked the New York. I thought the guns were very consistent. It had good armor. Yeah, it was super slow, but everything at this tier is super slow, so that didn't feel like a burden to me. Your AA guns on your New York is just very good. So when you're going against tier 4 carriers, your AA does what it needs to do, and that is shoot down planes very quickly. So tier 6 carriers, it's not as good, but it's still good AA, you know? And I appreciate that. This Iron Duke, it does not have that level of AA protection, but it makes up for that just in utility, really. The heal is pretty good. You get 4 heals. I don't have any commander skills to increase the number of consumables that I have. So 4 charges of heal is very nice. Helps you stay in the battle even longer. Honestly, if I was going to make one change to this game, like right now at this tier, the biggest change I would probably make is the scout planes. Scout planes are so useful to battleships with poor um, range, or if you just needed to get that one extra hit or whatever. I would rather have the scout plane maybe half the duration, but half the reload as well. So you have it when you need it, and you don't have to be waiting forever to re-get it. Because oftentimes, if you're shooting at a ship that far away at this tier, you only need to shoot like once or twice, and then that ship is kind of undercover. So I would appreciate having that plane, the active time of the plane, maybe 75% of what it is right now, 50% of what it normally is, but also the time for it to come back. Because there's no way on earth I'm going to be able to use 4 charges of the scout plane in a battle. Even if I'm using it right at the start of the battle, I just don't see a way of using that. Anyway, let's get back to this battle. So far, nothing crazy has happened. I've just done what I needed to do, and that is hit stuff with AP, you know? We're at 57,000 damage, 39 hits, 8 defended, and 1 crit. So it's not bad. This game, we are ahead on kills, behind on points. But we are in the process of capping. Oh, and the destroyer almost had the cap, and then he left the cap. Typical. So we would have had a cap, but now we do not. So I see that we have a cruiser that's trying to cap, which is great, but I need to support him, so we wipe out the Hawkins. So now that Genova should be able to deal with the Minagazi, and that should allow him to take capture point B, which is nice. If I had not killed that Hawkins, I really don't see how that Genova would have gotten out of that situation. I really don't. 67,000 damage, not too shabby. Honestly, for a tier 5 battleship and a tier 5 battle, 66,000 on average is not terrible. It's really not terrible. I try to aim more for like 80,000 in a battleship at this tier, but 66,000, that is very much doable. And if I get less than 60,000, I had a pretty poor game. I really did. I didn't do what I needed to do. Either I was not positioned well enough, or I overextended, you know, that sort of thing. So in any case, we've got all of our ships are at sea, and yet we didn't have sea capped. Bananas, I know, but we have sea capped now. Now that it's kind of too late for that. At this point, we're really gonna have to push them. We don't have more caps than them. We let's see. We have 1 kill lead, but that so easily could change at this point of the battle. You know, it so easily could change. One of our destroyers gets caught off and gets blasted by a cruiser. It's over. So at this point, I need to kind of move forward. I actually, if I were to go back through this battle, I think I probably would have been a little bit more aggressive, because by being a little bit more aggressive and using up some of my um, HP earlier, it would allow maybe my team to survive a little bit longer. Maybe I would have had more allies at the end of the battle. I loaded HE, but again, bad mistake. I wanted to try to showcase the HE, and I did get a fire. I got 2 fires on him, but you know, at this point, he's showing perfect broadside. If I wasn't using AP, I'm being an idiot. So we're going to load back the AP, and we're really just not going to stray from AP anymore, because in this battle, it just seems the AP is king in this battle. I don't know why. But what was I saying earlier? Oh, HP. Yeah, I should have been a little bit more aggressive, but I wanted to stay back because there's a lot of games where I have it where I just get too aggressive and I use up too much of my health, and by this point in the battle, I don't have the health needed to take on the team. Whereas if I did have the health, it's possible that I could have survived and won battle. So that's why I was trying to be a bit passive here. Not because I have Deadeye, because honestly at this tier, Deadeye is pretty situational. You might get 1 or 2 shots of Deadeye per battle, and that's about it. I mean, if you're trying to use Deadeye at tier 5, it's not going to work out for you. You're just not going to take advantage of it enough. I mean, there's like, what, 2 kilometers wiggle room? I guess if you used your scout plane and sat at the back of the map, your scout plane would allow you to increase your shooting range. Even though your detection range will stay the same, your base detection range is what the Deadeye skill is based on. So you would get more wiggle room to do that, but at that point, the ships are so far away from you that, you know, even if your aim is perfect, so much things could go wrong between that time. Again, why do I have HE loaded? I'm trying to showcase HE in this as well, but it's just dumb because AP would have just been so much better there. So I'm going to switch to AP, and of course that's when he's going to start angling, right? No, never mind. He's going to just sail broadside again. Granted, I'm sailing broadside too, but I have the health to tank it if he does shoot at me. Plus, I kind of want to not be going south. I want to be going north a little bit more, because that's where the enemy team is at. So we're going to aim, I don't know, at 90,000 damage. That's really not a bad battle. In a battleship at tier 5, in a tier 5 battle, that's not bad at all. Yeah, he does do some damage, and I think I would have done a lot of damage to him as well. Don't know if I would have killed him, but don't have to worry about that, because the Texas ruined his day. So 90,000. We're still ahead on 1 kill. We now have 2 caps to their 1 with 6 minutes remaining. So if we do get 1 more kill, I feel like it's pretty probable that we will win this, even if we don't get any more kills after that. As long as we keep the 2 caps, I think we'll catch up to them. I'm not sure, but 6 minutes remaining. Anything could happen, you know. Königsberg, wait till he decides to go full broadside, then fire. He has an island, so he can't escape unless he wants to turn into his ships, which I don't think he wants to do. So that's a guaranteed citadel, basically. So, yay! 10,000 damage. Not bad, not bad, not bad. This ship just does what you want a tier 5 battleship to do. Like, I think my 2 favorite tier 5 battleships are that I own, which are basically non-premiums. Out of the tier 5 battleships that I own, I think this Iron Duke is probably my favorite just because that AG is so good. And technically, it's a little bit faster than the New York. Not much, but any little bit helps, right? Uh, but I also really like the New York. Like, if I couldn't play the Iron Duke, I'd probably go to the New York just because, for some reason, the New York always has consistency. And consistency is what you're looking for in a battleship, right? So we've got Texas left. Yeah, we're definitely going to be catching them on points so long as our team does not die. But even if they do, like, that Texas is super slow, so I don't think he's going to do a whole lot. Of course, he doesn't know I'm here, although, granted, he's not exactly angling against anyone, but I guess he wants to get into the fight, right? Because at this point, if he doesn't do anything, he's going to lose, right? If he doesn't move forward, if he sits in the back, he will lose this battle. He has to move forward. So I understand where he's going, but it just meant that I get a nice broadside to shoot at. Hallelujah, right? 110,000 damage in a tier 5 battleship. Yeah, this is a game worthy enough to put on YouTube, I think. I know people do better, and, you know, I'm not saying that this is a perfect game. By any means, I could have done a number of things better, but it was one of the better games I had in the Iron Duke, and one of the games I kind of enjoyed. Even though it's just kind of a chill game, not really stressed a whole lot, just kind of firing willy-nilly and doing a lot of damage. It's pretty interesting, though. The 4 guys that are alive on my team, we all have kills. We almost are the only ones with kills on the entire team. So it just goes to show you that win rate is determined. Well, it does determine skill. When I was younger, I was like, yeah, it doesn't determine skill, but yes, it does. You know, it just takes 1 or 2 good players, in this case 4 good players, and you can carry the entire team on your back. So, you know, yes, you could have. There's definitely games that are unwinnable, and there's definitely games that no matter what you do, you will win. That's why if you do absolutely nothing, you're still probably going to get a 45% win rate no matter what. Because 45% of the battles, even 0 contribution, you're still going to get a win. So that being said, of course, the opposite is true. You can get some defeats. But I'd probably say 25%, 30% of the battles, it could go either way. And that's where a good contribution from yourself is going to flip that battle. And the more battles that you can change into your favor, the harder battles that you can change into your favor, the more win rate you're going to have. And that's why win rate is a skill-based representation, or a representation based on skill, right? So anyway, let's take a look at the post-battle results. We got 120,000 damage, 2 citadels, 2 kills, and 4,000 experience. Not too shabby. The next screen, see, I didn't get the most, but again, the second person on the team is the New York. And usually when I see players play the New York, it's always right near the top. Like, the consistency of the New York is undeniable. It just has consistency. So, well played to the New York. Also the Texas. Like, if I ever was going to buy like a tier 5 premium battleship, I think I'd do the Texas because I see so many players do well in the Texas. I don't know what it is about it, but the Texas, keep an eye on that ship. And finally, the detailed report screen. Again, if you just want to look at it, nothing too crazy. But yeah, just a fun battle. Like, this ship, as you can see, the AP hits hard and does what you need it to do against flat broadside targets, especially cruisers at this tier. You just obliterate tier 5 cruisers. They have no hope of surviving, you know, they just die. But even against battleships flat broadside, I almost never get citadels against battleships this tier, but you can still wipe out a massive chunk of their health. 10,000, 8,000 per shot. That's a lot, you know. And even if they're angled, it doesn't matter. You just fire the high explosive, make them use their damage con, permanent fires, bada boom, bada bang, free damage, and it stacks quickly. So this is definitely one of the better tier 5 battleships in my opinion. Very, very, very fun. If the line continues in this way, I'm going to really enjoy this line. I love this Iron Duke a lot. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think of the Iron Duke, and also what you think of that clip from the very start. I really would like to hear it. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.